Your mission, Kroll, should you choose to accept it, is to do the Mission Impossible podcast without saying the words Mission Impossible Action Cruise. Do you accept?
No. Why would I do that? This is a very unorthodox start, Shahir.
Well, that would be the impossible mission.
Okay. What is up, Internet? Welcome once again to the only podcast about movies. My name is Matthew Kroll.
And I'm Shahir Dowd.
And today we are going to do something very special for Mission Impossible 5, or as they're calling it, Mission Impossible
Rogue Nation.
Rogue Nation. We're the only people talking about it this week, which is weird.
Well, we're not the only people.
That is true. Why is that, Shahir?
Well, today we decided our mission, should we choose to accept it,
And we did.
was not Rogue Nation, but significant other significant other nation.
No.
It was bring your wife
You're
to work
butchering
day.
this.
Yeah.
You're butchering this.
Bring your significant other to work day.
Right.
And today, I brought my significant other. Have you?
I did. They're both right here.
Oh, wait, look, here she is.
Hey guys, what's going on?
That's Robin. Say hi, everybody.
Hi everyone.
No, not you.
Oh.
The audience needs to say it while they're on the subway, and it needs to get awkward.
Oh.
Never mind. And also,
This is my significant other, Shivali Gulev.
Hi everyone.
all
She
right.
has the New Zealand accent as well.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's how you'll be able to tell everyone apart.
And why did we do this? Why did we do this?
Well, we decided that having us sort of talk about this film, and we'll get into it a little bit, like, you know, how kind of boring it would be if we're just talking about this film for various reasons we'll get into. So we wanted to get a fresh perspective, and we wanted to get basically the feminine touch on this sort of on this basic topic about action movies and, you know, this sort of franchise in general.
Because it's the podcast and the movies we do are very boy movies, aren't they?
So far,
Yeah.
so far, and you know, Kung Fury could be, you know, the story of a. No, I'm kidding.
Well, just
Yeah.
out of curiosity, do you guys listen to this podcast?
Yeah, have you ever listened to this thing?
Yes,
You've
I
listened
have.
to us?
Yes.
I listened to one yesterday.
All right. So just to get
I
used
wanted
to,
to prepare.
Right. All right. Good
Well,
enough.
do you-
Good enough.
wait, now let's put you on the spot. What do you think?
I liked it because I watched the film.
Oh,
What
good.
one was it?
White Wolf. The
White,
White
White
Dog.
Wolf.
White Wolf?
White
White
Wolf.
Dog.
White Wolf would have been a better.
Yeah,
would have been a better title. Yeah.
Wolves.
And Robin, you've listened to.
Oh, which one was
This
it?
is so
Oh, it's
awkward.
so memorable.
This
It
is
was
so
the
awkward.
second one.
Oh, the second one. The second one was a good one.
Yeah, I remember that one.
So yeah, basically, number 2 was the best. Yeah, so we just wanted to kind of spice it up a little bit because we could just go back and forth on this, but it's kind of more important to get, I think, other perspectives. If we keep seeing these style of movies, let's get some other perspectives on them.
Right.
And maybe we'll spice up what we got later on. What?
It was the pigeon one.
The
It was
pigeon- oh,
one.
yours
Yeah,
was the
it was
pigeon
the
one.
pigeon one. Yeah.
Well, Robin, I hate to call you out on your non-fandom, but that was number 3.
Oh, that was number 3. Oh.
Wow.
Oh.
Yeah, we're gonna have to talk after this. But so let's just dive right into it. Let's do sort of how do you want to do it?
Well, okay, here's one thing I want to do is everyone go around the room and just tell us what happened in this movie. Just give us a little plot description. I think this is going to be a crucial test for Mission Impossible.
Okay, and why don't we do this? You
Yeah.
have 10 seconds
Yeah.
to tell us the plot of Mission Impossible Rogue Nation?
Yeah.
And do you want me to go first?
No. Let's go with our guest. Let's be polite host.
Okay. Robin, do you want to?
Okay. So basically, Ethan Hunt was brought into or was set up to be basically Ethan Hunt.
And time.
Beautiful. Excellent job, darling. That's
All right,
wonderful.
Shivali,
Shivali, you're up.
you're up.
10 seconds on the clock. And go.
All right, so the movie opens with Ethan Hunt on a plane and Tom Cruise does this amazing scene. Then it moves on to Tom Cruise trying to bring down the syndicate. Blah, blah, blah. Lots of stuff happening. The CIA doesn't like Tom Cruise. Eventually, there's a
And
big happy
time.
ending.
That's pretty good.
that
That's
was
pretty
decent.
good.
That
That's
was
pretty
decent.
good. Yeah, that's a good summary. All right, go. Matt.
Okay, I can do this real quick in under 10 seconds. It's the same plot as Mission Impossible 4.
Is it?
It's pretty damn close.
You know, well, okay. Here's the thing that'll be interesting when I do mine is I can't remember what Mission Impossible 4 was about.
Well, you saw
That's
Mission
protocol.
Impossible 5, right?
Wait, what?
You saw 5. You saw this one. It's the same as 4. Everyone's sort of disavowed. Then everyone's sort of not disavowed.
Okay,
and then
yeah, okay. Well, so my description is the IMF is disbanded and have to come together to fight a bigger enemy that's gonna take over the world. And Ethan Hunt's gonna is gonna like do some crazy shiz. That's about it.
All right, 8 seconds. That was solid.
That's about it. Well, shall I read the plot description from IMDb?
Sure.
Just so our listeners know.
Just do it.
Ethan and a team take on their most impossible mission yet, eradicating the Syndicate, an international rogue organization as highly skilled as they are, committed to destroying the IMF. I think that's actually that's not accurate.
That's not accurate.
That's not accurate
They're
at
not
all.
committed to destroying the IMF at all.
I don't think they even care who the IMF
They
are.
really don't.
Yeah.
Considering there's 4 of them.
Yeah. 4 IMF members?
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't think
Isn't that it? Like, no one else is in that. I can't remember the first Mission Impossible. I thought it was a whole, like, sort of secret agency. Like
The Mission Impossible?
The Mission Impossible people. Like, there was more agents than just, like, 4 of them.
Yeah, there is.
But
That's changed over time.
yeah, and I think
It started in the there is no narrative continuity in this film. They tried to have some narrative continuity between number 3 and 4,
right.
but other than that, it's like every time one of these movies opens, it's all about how the IMF is about to be disbanded. And then, shall we just point out, IMF sounds like a really cool name, like in real world, the International Monetary Fund.
That's
But
what I
is-
always think
That's
every
what I always
single
thought
time.
too, yeah.
But what does the IMF stand for?
I know. Pick me.
No. Wait.
I don't know. I mean, the International Monetary Fund.
No, in the movie.
I know, but that's in my head. That's what I'm always thinking.
Is it, I don't know, Impossible Mission Frontiers?
Close.
Very
Very
close.
close. Impossible Mission Force.
Which is just ridiculous.
Yeah.
That is the stupidest name ever.
Yeah.
You had the CIA, the FBI, and then they were like, let's make another one.
IMF.
The Impossible Mission Force.
So, I mean, I think one of the big things about this film is no one's going to see it for the plot, right?
It's why you never go to a Mission Impossible.
Right. Like, no one's like, oh man, I can't wait to see what happens to Ethan Hunt. Like, you say, I want to see what crazy tall thing Tom Cruise is dangling off this week. Like, that's.
And you never think of him as Ethan Hunt. You only think of him as Tom Cruise.
It is. It's
very
they
true.
should just. Yeah, you're
Yeah.
right. They should just rename it the Tom. His character should be called Tom Cruise.
Yeah.
And he's an
Exactly.
actor who happens to be a spy.
He should
Exactly.
take off one of those masks and it's just him underneath the exact
Exactly.
face and it's Tom Cruise the entire time.
Right.
So that's sort of this interesting sort of place we're getting to. And you might argue that action movies have sort of been like that for a while. Like, I can't remember, say, Arnold's name in Commando. Like, I don't know the character's
Was it
name.
McClane?
It maybe, sure. But like then you have
John
certain certain other ones
No,
like
no,
John
that's-
McClane's
that was
Die
Die
Hard,
Hard,
and
yeah.
you get that because
But you see him as John McClane. That's a huge difference.
Yeah. This is that's a good point. Is that these films have no characters. It's Jeremy Renner, Alec Baldwin,
Simon Pegg.
Tom. And that woman who can beat up Tom Cruise.
Well, the woman, what's her name?
Swedish
Rebecca
girl.
Ferguson. Yeah, Swedish actress. She could be. I only know her in this movie, so she's that character to me. I don't remember her name in the movie.
Ilsa Faust.
Oh, Ilsa.
Oh God! How do you guys remember that?
She's the only
It was a-
female
it was
in
a
the
memorable
movie.
Well then we're going to get into that in a little bit too,
Yeah.
because there's been a sort of we'll get to that. I don't want to get there yet, but so all of these characters, with the exception of Ilsa, are just these people that we know and like watching do stuff. I mean, I liked watching Ilsa too, but I haven't seen her in anything else. I'm saying, like, Simon Pegg is funny. We like Simon Pegg and things. Ving Rhames, I mean, he's very likable, but I don't remember his character name in
Luther. I remember it.
Luther?
Yeah, but
Okay.
only because we watched the first one last night.
Oh, so they say it like 3 times to try to get it in your brain.
It's Candyman.
So what? I guess my question to the panel is this a trend that we're comfortable with? It's happened before, but I feel like more and more these days it's happening with these action movies, that like non-comic book action movies, where it's like, oh, it's just this guy. Like, oh, it's Jason Statham in his Jason Statham movie.
Yeah.
Oh, it's, this, that, and the other thing. Tom Cruise especially. Like, is this okay where it's like we're going for more of the spectacle and not for any sort of plot or,
Well,
anything more important?
yeah, I'll just set it up and then we'll hand it over. But I kind of think I think that is the case, and I think there's something interesting if you look at the marketing of this movie before before it comes out, there's a whole you'll see a lot of publicity about how great a dude Tom Cruise is, and then you'll see a lot of publicity about, oh my God, he does his own stunts, and it's all about Tom. This whole franchise is about Tom Cruise.
Is he leaving Scientology?
Is he? That's a question mark. I don't know. But so with that in mind, how do you guys feel about Tom Cruise?
I mean, I often feel like this was the first movie where I actually looked at him and I went, "Oh, he's going to get a little old there." This is the first time I ever thought that, and I think it's very smart of him to stay as relevant as possible, and for him to make a huge publicity out of him doing his own stunts is very, very smart because the other reason I think of like the Expendables, where it's just a bunch of like has-beens getting together.
Whoa, has-beens.
You know what I mean?
Has-beens?
Aging action stars.
There you go. There you go.
But Tom Cruise has been able to not be part of that just because he has been able to do these incredible feats still at this age. Or whatever age he is. I don't even know anymore.
So you like that about him?
I really, really like that about him. And I know that like there's so much publicity about him about being like a good guy. Like whoever his PR team is amazing.
Yeah.
Because who he is outside of the movies makes you want to watch his movies.
How do you feel, Shivali?
Now, this is interesting because all I remember about his publicity is the Oprah.
If we looked at the history of bad PR moves, that might be one of them.
And that's what I think about when I think about Tom Cruise as a person. And I apologize for even thinking like that because I shouldn't be relying on what's happening in the media to make my judgments on people. But I really like Tom Cruise. Yeah. I love watching Tom Cruise movies. We watched Jerry Maguire the other day, and it was just so much fun. Yeah. I love Tom Cruise movies. Yeah. I actually don't care about Mission Impossible.
Yeah.
Not at all. I go to see these movies because Tom Cruise is in them.
Really? So
exactly.
not.
That's the only reason I'm seeing this. I don't feel the same way about James Bond.
Yeah.
I like the whole story. I like that. But with Mission Impossible, I want to go see Tom Cruise.
Right.
I think he's a great actor.
And so you could see Tom Cruise in any movie.
Yes.
Right.
Pretty happily, actually.
Well, see, I kind of fall in the same camp with this. Like, and I like, everyone knows I like me some action movies, but like this is one, and this franchise in general, I don't have any vested interest. I don't care about any of the characters. I don't like, and you're right. You're absolutely right, Shivali. It's different with Bond for whatever reason, because the only real character there's like his team he works with and James Bond himself. There's no other real sort of continuity about it, but there's definitely there's something special about the Bondiverse or whatever you want to call it, like that actually like, oh, I'll see this really no matter who's being Bond. Yeah. But like if someone's like, if Tom Cruise is like, I'm not being Ethan Hunt anymore, and well, Mark Wahlberg, here you go. Why don't you give this a whirl? I'd be like,
could this Mission Impossible franchise exist without Tom Cruise?
No,
absolutely definitively not. I mean, because I feel like Jeremy Renner. I feel like he's
tried to do for the Bourne.
Yeah. I feel like he's trying to get in on anybody. He's like, I could be Bourne. I could be Ethan Hunt.
You should just stick with Hawkeye, man.
But I like Tom Cruise as an actor. I think the one thing I do really like about Tom Cruise is I never feel like he's just there. I always feel like he brings whatever A game he's got.
Sure,
except actually, honestly. This might be the first time where I'm starting to feel like he's just kind of collecting a paycheck. I mean, he's still, like, when it comes to the stunts and everything, he's like 100% committed. But the rest of the film, and it may just be a factor of the writing in this film, is like Ethan Hunt doesn't feel like for a lot of the runtime of the film, Ethan Hunt is just kind of there. Only towards the end, only towards the action scenes. Does he really sort of come alive? Otherwise, he's just kind of there.
Well, let's talk about this. Why the movie actually works is because it's 80% action scenes.
Yeah.
Like, I don't think I've seen a film lately with more... Mad Max has quiet moments that still, granted, they're driving still, things are still quote unquote moving, but this movie is just like action sequence, like maybe like a minute or a minute and a half of some sort of dialogue, then big set piece, action sequence, and they all sort of bleed into each other. And I don't think per minute per the film, I don't think I've seen something that's been this action heavy. And I think basically they're leaning on their strength. People want to go see Tom Cruise,
and that's a smart thing to do.
Yeah. Like people that like most of us in this room that are just like, oh, we like him as an actor, we'll see anything with him. And then to get people that don't necessarily give a crap about Tom Cruise because I'm sure they're out there. They're like, oh, did you see that he hung off the tallest building in Dubai? Like, go see that. And you're like, oh, all right. Like, so they're really, it's a nexus of interest, and I think they're very smart in doing that.
But I have to admit, I struggled through this film whenever there wasn't action happening, and there were a few. Like I remember in the right after the first action sequence, before, and just so everyone knows, we do this every time, but we're going to spoil the whole movie.
Oh yes.
But like right after the first action sequence, and then between that and the underwater sequence. There's a fairly long period of them just trying to figure out what's happening.
But they intercut that with sort of failed action sequences, as they do in these movies when they're planning stuff. It's like, oh, we could do this, and we could go through the vent. Oh, but then they'll catch us here. But you're seeing the characters doing these failed action sequences, which I like seeing.
I like, but I struggled through the film in those parts, and I struggled through the film when they were like discussing what the syndicate was and what like so. Here's another thing. So, Shivali, you don't care about the Mission Impossible films, but if you were to rank the Mission Impossible films, like where would you, what's your favorite, what's your least favorite? You don't have to remember them all because they all blend into one.
Or better yet, could you?
Could you rank
Because that's the other thing. Like, they might not be memorable enough to do so.
Yeah, that's a good question. That's a good point. So I actually just watched the first one last night just to refresh myself. I quite enjoyed it. I remember I quite liked Mission Impossible 4. That's the building one.
Yep.
And that's all I remember.
The building one.
The building one.
That's how I refer to it. And Shahir and I were talking about it, and he said he really liked Mission Impossible 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
But I can't remember it. So yeah, and I don't remember 2 either. So
yeah.
I mean, it's very interesting. It's like, you talked about the quiet moments, and there were very few of them, but where Mad Max differs is that in those quiet moments, it had a lot of emotional weight to it. And then the quiet moments in Mission Impossible here doesn't have any. But in the last one, I remember there was a whole wife plot.
Yeah.
Or his wife was gone or wasn't really gone, or he had to stay away from his wife. Something about that.
We'll talk about
I
that.
do remember that because there was an emotional tie there.
Yeah.
But other than that, all I remember is him dangling off of a building.
Yeah.
And that's all I remember about it. Yeah.
I would say if I had to put them in an order from what I remember, it would be 4, 5, 1. No, I'm sorry. 4, 3, 5, 1, 2.
Right.
In best to worst.
I think I would go.
Everyone hates 2. 2's the one where he first had the long hair.
That's
and
the John Woo. Yeah.
John Woo did it.
I think I would go 3, 1, 4, 5, 2.
Okay, interesting. The I just remember in 2, there's a scene, and maybe everyone's like, when he grew his hair out, and everyone's like, eh. But like, there's a scene where they're like
Why is that so
driving,
important?
they're driving at each other on motorcycles, and they do like this, like they both hit the brakes at the same time, and they both go up on the front wheel and spin and like hit each other with their back wheel,
and they're firing guns at each other.
And they're firing guns, and it's just like John Woo, like no one reined John Woo in.
Yeah,
and it's not impressive at all, like the building or the plane or any of the stuff in this film, because it's just like, it's almost like this weird sort of trying to be macho motorcycle dance, and it's awful.
Did John Woo also do Face Off?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He did Face Off.
That's a very Face Off kind of thing to do.
Yeah. I mean, John Woo's got
he has a style.
He has a style, and I think it works in certain stories. And I think, the Mission Impossible was a testament to the fact that John Woo doesn't necessarily translate well into other films that aren't in the John Woo kind of universe.
Right.
And so, but I love 3, and I think 3
has the strongest story. That's with Philip Seymour Hoffman as the villain.
It has the strongest villain as well.
Yeah.
Like in most of these, you don't remember who the villain is or care what they want. It's always some sort of plot. It's either a file or a back virus or something like that.
Sure.
And what's great about 3, okay, so J.J. Abrams directed 3, and I think it's the best thing that J.J. Abrams directed.
Oh. I might agree with that.
Yeah. I mean, maybe other than The Lost Pilot.
Touché.
Other than that. But then, that's the apple and oranges kind of thing.
Lost. The show Lost.
Oh.
Yeah.
Or did you think I said The Lost Pilot?
Yeah, you thought the movie was called The Lost Pilot. I saw Robin shaking her head, and it was like, we're rewatching
The Lost
that.
Pilot, and I was like, I never saw that.
Oh, you
movie.
never saw The Lost Pilot?
No.
Oh, shit.
It's about this pilot.
Welcome
he gets
to
lost.
the only podcast about The Lost Pilot. But that's actually true because it doesn't exist.
Yeah.
Continue.
So, the thing that J.J. Abrams brought to Mission Impossible was real stakes. Like, so the whole thing in part 3 was that Ethan Hunt was about to get married and he was about to leave his whole life behind. And just like Vito, Al Pacino in Godfather 3, just when he thinks he's out, they pull him back in. And there's real stakes to it because Philip Seymour Hoffman's whole threat is, I'm going to kill your wife. Which is great. It's really like it makes it tense. And for the first time, you feel like Ethan Hunt has something to lose. Like, where in these films, I just feel like he's like, oh, I'm going to go dangle off a building. Oh, I'll do that.
He could lose the world, Shahir.
I don't think he cares. I don't think he
does.
he's just there. Ghost Protocol kind of like tried to tie those two together, where the whole thing with Ghost Protocol is that he is now basically like a ghost so that his wife can't get hurt, which is the final beat of the film.
Yeah.
I don't think Ghost Protocol works as well for me because who cares about what the villain wants in that movie, and there's no stakes involved anymore because the whole plot of that film has nothing to do with his wife anymore. So my thing with MI5, what we just watched, the problem here is the record store girl. Do you remember the record store girl?
Yeah.
Like, the record store girl is kind of like what pisses Ethan Hunt off the whole time, because the big bad. Just to explain it, at the beginning of the film, Ethan Hunt walks into a record store in Prague, I think it is, or somewhere, and he's wanting to, he's getting his mission file with and they hand him a record. And this woman is there who's this young girl. She goes, I can't believe it's you. Did you really do the things they say you did?
Right.
And he doesn't say anything. He goes in. And it turns out that the record, the mission is actually from the Syndicate, and it's a trap, and he gets gassed. And outside the record booth where he's being held, the leader of the Syndicate cruelly and coldly shoots the record store girl. And Ethan gets pissed off, and he's like, and in fact, it's mentioned later on in the film that the record store girl. Here's my thing. If you want to make this film work, replace the record store girl with Bridget Monahan or Michelle Monaghan. Have the record store girl be replaced by his wife. Like, have his wife in that scene and kill her off, and then you can have a movie.
Yeah, and I get the stakes of that, but at the same time, then it's just I don't want to bring this whole nonsense up because we could go down into this, but then it's the whole like women in refrigerators trope.
Oh yeah, look, this film is trading on that whole thing. It's not. This is not a feminist action film in any way.
Are you both familiar with that? The women in refrigerators?
Mm-mm.
Correct me if I'm wrong because I'm probably going to butcher this, but it's basically when women are only used as a motivation to further along the man's sort of whatever. And the reason it's women in refrigerators. What film was it? It was some awful movie that like the main guy finds like pieces of his girlfriend or whatever in a fridge, and it's like, oh, that's the only time you see this woman, and she's already.
It's the main motivation for Christopher Nolan's films.
And for John Wick, it was the puppy.
Yeah.
And John, we could get into that.
Yeah, but I think the problem with this film is that there's no, like, Ethan Hunt is just doing his job.
Yeah, right. Yes, I agree with that. Well, let me ask you guys this, and either can jump in. As far as the villain of this film, because I feel like, again, a lot of times when these action movies, the plot of the movie is only as strong as sort of the villain that they let you throw it up against in a lot of cases. The Syndicate, and not necessarily the main dude who talks like this.
He's got that raspy.
I'm also that German, and I will speak.
Did you notice the whole like?
Why is it always the Germans?
No, but it was like this film really plays on like the evil, like even evil militaristic.
He's evil militaristic German Steve Jobs is really what he is in this film.
Did he wear a turtleneck?
He wore a turtleneck.
Yeah. All it was missing was him like stroking a cat, and he would have gotten into like Dr. Evil territory.
Right.
But like the Syndicate. Did the Syndicate feel dangerous?
No.
They talk about it. They talk about the things
They talk about how dangerous the Syndicate is. How many Syndicate members do we see?
So I thought it was dangerous in the way, like when I thought IMF stood for International Monetary Fund. So I thought it was evil in the way I was like, oh shit, like they could really like break down the whole entire world economy. Like that's when I thought it was dangerous.
Sure.
But what do they want? Like it's talked about that they're basically a force of disorder. Like, but why? Like
because they show all the articles that Ethan Hawke collects.
Ethan Hawke?
Ethan Hunt.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise.
I got it half right.
Yeah.
They show all the articles that, the syndicate are responsible for the
Sure,
Okay.
but what do they want? Like, they assassinate the
Money? Isn't that what everyone wants?
Do they want money? No,
It
they
was
have money.
No,
They
but-
have money.
No, but they still wanted money. That's the thing. What I gathered from this was they were, and I'm going to spoil how the syndicate came to be because no one really
Nobody
cares.
cares.
It was a secret British sort of thing where they funneled money to this thing called the syndicate that just in case everything went to hell, they had like a thing to sort of like help control.
No,
What was it?
it was a simulation. They were like, well, this would be what would happen if there was an organization.
Oh, great. And then it turned into the organization
Yeah.
they were trying to simulate. For some reason.
MI5 set this up.
Right. So, thanks.
Tie into the
thanks,
title.
British. So they had all this money floating around, and then they was able to do all these things, but their end game was to get the rest of the funds for this simulation, but in real life. Like, because they'd set this like trillions of dollars aside. Yeah, because no one's missing that. And like it was all on these in these accounts listed in this top secret thing and blah 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 blah. Like, and I'm not going to get into the validity or the importance or if the tech
It sounds
in
silly as soon as you say it out loud.
the
It
tech
sounds
in Mission
ridiculous.
Impossible has never made sense. They make masks that like look exactly like human skin, and they have camera things in your eye, and they have
The one I like this one around was the flip top book that could turn into a laptop.
Yep, I like that. In the fourth one, I liked when Simon Pegg's sneaking around and
Yeah,
it's
the
the
mirror.
projector mirror thing in the
that was
hallway.
cool.
And I also really liked, this was one that I thought could actually exist, the lock thing they used in this
Yeah.
one. It was like a touchpad
It was like
lock.
Splinter Cell.
And you put the key up, and it brought the tumblers in to hit the.
Right.
Yeah.
But what was kind of funny is if that was in real life, I know they had to show it because you wouldn't be able to tell. There'd be no LED screen showing you the tumblers because you don't know how to use another.
And
Anyway,
who's building these apps?
yeah. So the point is,
Nobody cares about the story.
no one cares about the syndicate, and for that to be like, especially, it was so funny when I saw the trailer. Did you watch the trailer for this?
Yeah, and can I tell you what I thought the film was going to be about?
Sure.
Was the idea that there was like a flip side to the MI5, and what I was excited about to see the flip side to the MI5 was kind of like there's this great scene in Shaun of the Dead where like all the guys are running around and they meet like their exact opposites
Right.
and they look the same but they're different, and I was like, oh, we're gonna see like the same but different Ethan Hunt and the same but different Luther and the same
Yeah.
but different Simon Pegg. Yeah, that was so.
That would have been good. That would have been good.
I don't know if that would have been good.
MI6.
MI6, yeah.
Yeah. I just thought Lauryn Hill was cashing a paycheck when I saw the trailer.
Oh yeah, with the song, yeah.
But yeah, they're gonna find you. I saw it, and when the second they're like, Alec Baldwin's like, no one has ever been able to prove the syndicate exists, and you're like, okay, like the whole thing was setting up this big scary thing. But I knew because of the way they set it up that it would not be big and it would not be scary. Like, it just felt very hollow to me in the trailer.
Yeah.
And to the point where I actually, until the end when Tom Cruise is hanging off the thing, I was just like watching it. I'm like, I'm not seeing this, which goes back to what we've all sort of said before, where it's like, oh, we're going to this because of Tom Cruise.
Right.
There's no other reason to go.
Yeah, and one of the functions here, one of the problems here is that story is completely secondary to action in this film. You know, like we've kind of talked a little bit about Terminator a lot, Mad Max and stuff, and you know, one of the things we talked about was the idea that story happens through action. You know, like, you know, basically we find out what's happening because of the action.
Right.
In this film, story is completely secondary to action. And a really good point is if I was in the edit room of this film, I really think and say this film wasn't part of a franchise, or you know,
This film wasn't part of a franchise.
it was just okay, thank you. And it was just a standalone film. Say this film was a standalone film.
This film was a standalone film.
Thank you.
Okay.
And I would cut that first scene. The scene on the plane.
Yeah, 'cause
You would cut that scene completely. Like and just say you didn't spend $20 million and hang your whole marketing campaign on that scene. You would cut that scene because it has no purpose in
There's
this
no
film.
purpose of the story.
But you know what was amazing? And I loved this about it. I loved that was in the first 10 minutes of the movie
Yes.
and it had nothing to do with the plot because it was the biggest moment in the trailer.
Yeah.
It made me pay attention to that. And what I would have been doing while watching this movie was being like, when's the fucking plane coming?
Yeah.
Like, I would have kept thinking
Right.
that, but
Yeah.
they got it out of the way.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, all right.
Yeah.
I'm on this right. Because then I was trying to think when we were watching it, Robin, I was like, do I remember any other action beat from this trailer?
Nope,
Yeah,
it was
no.
the only one you remember.
And like, there's a 20-minute motorcycle chase. I don't remember that in the trailer. I'm sure it was there.
Yeah. What I liked is that they keep the spoiler alert. They keep, I think, the best action sequence out of the trailer, which is the underwater sequence. I think the underwater sequence is really cool, but it's stupid.
But for a sense of
Right.
a trailer, it just doesn't really. It's not that as appealing as hanging off a plane.
No, of course not. And it's much more CGI looking and much more
Right.
virtual. And like the whole thing with that plane scene is that they want to sell, hey, Tom Cruise dangle from a plane. But it's a really
Unless they showed him dying, in the trailer.
well, that would be an interesting marketing campaign. It is an interesting testament that the Mission Impossible franchise outside of film 1 and 3 for me are entirely built out of their PR campaigns. Like nobody cares about what the film is. It's entirely about the PR campaign to get people into the the theater.
And it's brilliant. I think it's very, very well done
Yeah.
because Tom Cruise is brilliant outside of his movies that he makes.
Yeah. So, like, I guess, so this sort of brings us back to sort of the state of action movies in general. And ladies, I think I know the answer to some of this, but like, Shivali, do you generally like action movies? Like, will you, if you see something like, is it like, oh, I'll go check that out? Or is it just based on like the preference of the individual film?
I normally like to see films with actors that I like.
Yeah.
But what about action movies?
Or does it matter?
That's what
Yeah.
I mean, specifically for action movies.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
So-
like it's
so you'll
more
go-
about I'm attracted to the actor.
Gotcha.
Right.
Or,
So
yeah.
because you haven't seen Mad Max yet, and
I
that-
haven't seen it. Everyone keeps telling me I should. It's
but
amazing.
you wouldn't go see it because
Tom Hardy or
because of
Charlize
who's in it.
Theron.
Yeah, I mean, I like Charlize Theron, but
Yeah.
yeah. No, probably not. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then Robin, what about you?
Well, I think that's an interesting premise is that I think a lot of action movies are based on the actors themselves. And so you go to see not only you see the actor that you really like doing cool stuff.
Right.
And so I'm a huge fan of action movies just for that purpose.
Yeah.
I like that's why I like summer is because I like going to big theaters and sitting in air conditioning and just watching shit blow up.
Popcorn. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think that like you're both right on that, on the actor kick. One thing that's sort of changing now, especially with the Marvel nonsense and all that stuff, like they're now trying to, and I think they're succeeding in a sense of making these comic book action movies about the character more. Like, granted, they've Robert Downey Jr. and Tony Stark are the same person.
Yeah.
And the reason Iron Man works is because
Right.
Robert Downey Jr. plays him, but also because even in the character that's written is just like Robert Downey Jr. Like, it's all works.
It's all in the casting.
Yeah.
And Tom Cruise was going to play that part for a long time.
Was
by
going to
the way.
play Iron Man?
He was cast as Iron Man and turned it down. The whole film was written around Tom Cruise being
I got this
Tony-
Ethan Hunt thing going on. I'm doing okay, guys.
Well, that's it. Sort of interesting. So now let's if that's the case, let's sort of spin that. Like, we all would have gone to see Iron Man because Tom Cruise was in it, but
he doesn't have the same kind of like irreverent swagger, I think.
right, his swagger is very reverent.
Earnest. I think his
Like,
swagger is very earnest.
We're talking about Jerry Maguire. Like, he's got swagger in that movie, but it's all like, oh, he really cares about everything.
yeah.
Right.
Whereas Robert Downey Jr., when he's doing his quips and his sort of like cool stuff, he's like blowing shit up, and he has a glass of scotch. He's like, to peace, and it's like, oh, he's cool because he doesn't care, quote unquote.
Yeah,
But
that's great.
does this kind of like lead into a question about like what is acting in a way? because in all the cases that we've just talked about, we're talking about how the real life persona relates to the character. Like none of these we're talking about people like, like taking on a role and immersing themselves in something completely different. We're talking about just like how. And I think that's what maybe
That's what casting is,
That's
I
what
guess.
casting is,
I mean, Matt made a really great point when we saw Southpaw together. We walked out the theater and Matt said, well, Forrest Whitaker did an amazing Forrest Whitaker.
right.
Yet again.
And
It was
But that's
great.
so many actors. Like, you just watch them to be themselves.
So let's pose this question, because I can't think of one. Is there an action movie that we can think of that we like that is not based around a character that is sort of not perfectly cast, but like they're not the way Robert Downey Jr. is cast for Iron Man because he's the same as Tony Stark? I'm saying, is there a character in an action movie where they cast who does a amazing performance as someone that you can't recognize? The anti-Jeff Goldblum, if you will. Like, Is there, because Jeff Goldblum plays Jeff Goldblum in every movie, which is fine because I love Jeff Goldblum.
That's funny because and every time I see Jeff Goldblum, I just think of The Fly.
Yeah, see,
And, like, I can't get that image out of
Ian
my
Malcolm, but
Yeah.
same difference.
He's cool. And
So
all.
like what, like
I think my pick would be, and I'm not sure if this is answering the question, but Sam Neill in Jurassic Park.
so Jurassic Park really isn't an action movie though.
Really?
Yeah.
I think
disagree with that.
I think it's a really good action movie in that it's one of those ones where action through
Where
story.
the dinosaurs play themselves.
Yeah. No, but I think Sam Neill's character is an action hero that's not based on who Sam Neill is.
I think he's very similar to Sam
Maybe
Neill
he is.
in every other thing I've seen Sam Neill. I'm having a little bit of a breakdown now because now I'm sort of
Well, Sam
questioning
Neill is
my
in
life.
Peaky Blinders, and he plays a cop that is very not Sam Neill. So
Yeah.
One actor that I can honestly, and I'm blanking on his name, but I can picture him. Here we go. One actor that I think has been in action movies. He's never been the main guy, but he's always someone different in every film. Is Gary Oldman.
Sure.
Gary Oldman is an actor, and I go to see Gary Oldman, but I
True
never
romance.
see Gary Oldman. Like even in Dark Knight nonsense, like
Yeah.
Commissioner Gordon, I was like, I didn't know how he was going to play that because he just didn't feel that way to me. And like, oh, there he is.
he's
Yeah.
unrecognizable in True Romance as well.
True Romance.
Yeah.
Even there was
Dracula. I love him in Dracula.
Dracula. There was even remember the BMW films? Do you any of you
Yeah,
remember that?
I used to teach those films.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The
Short films,
Yeah,
right?
the
The
short
BMW
films.
short film.
There was one where like is that Clive Owen was in those?
Yeah, Clive Owen was the driver.
Clive Owen was the driver in all these BMW.
Was Gary
commercials.
Oldman in those?
Gary Oldman played the devil in the one where he made a deal with the devil to
think that's the
James
Wonka.
Brown one.
I think that's the James Woo film, actually. The John Woo film.
And it's nuts. Like anyway, the point is Gary Oldman is an actor that sort of can do that, and his films aren't necessarily action movies. So I'm wondering if the real draw, I mean, the side draw is always the action and the explosions, and oh my god, that looks cool. But that's not getting us really into the theaters.
yeah,
It's the people, right?
it's the act, and it goes to show how tough it is, and we're specifically talking about the American summer movie audience,
Right.
And it goes to show how tough it is to break into that world if you're not a mainstream movie star in a franchise, with recognizable. It's tough to break in because I think, like, for example, The Raid, the
Yep.
Indonesian film,
Sure.
which did very well, should play in this realm, and it would play better than most of the films that we talked about, other than the fact that Judge Dredd came out at the same time and had the same story.
Yeah. Well,
Um,
Keith Urban actually is another good example of a actor
Carl
that can
Urban.
oh, sorry.
I'm really enjoying
Carl.
the fact that we're mentioning a lot of New Zealanders so far. Sam
Yeah.
Neill and Carl Urban.
That's two.
That's
We've
two.
mentioned two.
Hey, that's enough. And we got two in the room right now, so I'm good.
Yeah, so like, well, I think, for instance, Dread, when it came out, didn't do well at all. And that was a movie where an actor completely transformed himself into the action role, and it had great action, and it was a good plot, and the effects were good, but no one gave a shit.
What year did that come out?
2011, 2012?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah.
It's a few years ago, and it's really good.
It's excellent.
Yeah.
Like, and I don't know that. So maybe that's it. Maybe there's something to this. Like, I've never sort of broken it down. I've always been like, yeah, like you can do anything with anybody, but I don't know if
I mean,
you
we talked
can.
about Jurassic World, and to me, the only reason Jurassic World survives, and I think it's a pretty bad movie. The only reason it really hangs together is Chris Pratt.
Yeah.
And I had no interest in seeing Jurassic World whatsoever. But then once I heard that Chris Pratt was starring in it, then I went, oh, well, then I have to go see it. And I
Well-
didn't know that I liked him that much until that moment.
What are we learning? We're learning that we're very easily swayed
Yeah,
by
this
the
is-
perceptions of who an actor
Image.
is.
Yeah. Which is why whenever there's an actor scandal, I can imagine every studio having to like run in and do damage control on the major way
Yes.
because
it's a major impact on your financial asset. So which is why, Tom Cruise's success has to be attributed to the fact that for the most part, he probably keeps his head out of the scandal, out of scandals, even though he's involved in some. And ties closely to the films he chooses. I have this thing which I think that an actor at that level, we know that they're at a certain talent level where they can, act. And Tom Cruise is a very good actor.
Sure.
But like your real skill set there is being able to pick good movies. And if you think about Tom Cruise versus someone like John Travolta, You know, like Tom Cruise can pick really good movies, you know, in amongst, you know, he picks franchises that work for him. John Travolta, not necessarily so, you know, like, I mean, the whole Battlefield.
I mean, he just banked off the 90s.
Yeah,
Well,
you know,
John
One good
Travolta,
film, and he
here's-
just rolled with it.
so it's, to me, what's important there is picking the right roles for you. And I think Matt Damon does a good job of that, you know, like people, you know,
Matt
like
Damon was down and out until the Bourne.
yeah, and that's a good, you know, like your ability to pick good franchises for you.
What else has Matt Damon been in lately? I mean,
We Bought a Zoo.
What is it? Yeah, Interstellar, The Martian coming up.
yeah, well, I know The Martian's coming up, but then
Yeah.
there was Elysium, which was meh.
Yeah.
There was Interstellar, which he was the
That rugby one?
dumbest character in Interstellar.
I like it.
No, it was terrible.
That was awful.
No, it was the worst thing I've ever seen.
We've
Oh, wow, I feel like I'm about to be beat up here.
We-
But let's get into this.
did you see Interstellar, Shivali?
Yeah, I loved Interstellar.
I had a lot of problems with Interstellar, but the main problem I had was this Matt Damon's character. For those of you who don't know, basically they've already done this super long distance travel that's aged people back on Earth, like his daughter, the main character's daughter is older now and is sacrificing all this stuff to find hope for humanity, and they run into the doctor that they were looking for, who's stranded on this other sort of exoplanet. And then, for no real good reason, they get into a fist fight. The two main characters, one of which Matt Damon instigates a fist fight and starts basically headbutting and punching Matthew McConaughey. And it's just like, this is the fate of humanity, and you guys are rolling around on this. It just felt so
But
like.
that's so human too.
Yeah,
I mean,
and
to really think about it, it's
and
so human
also
to
the-
forget about that
and the
just think
idea-
about your own crap.
And the idea was there that Matt Damon's character had pushed the button when he shouldn't have because he was weak, and now he's trying to like backtrack.
But here's the thing too. It's like his spacesuit can survive like all these wormholes or black holes and everything like that. But then it takes Matt Damon 3 headbutts, and all of a sudden his
Oh,
yeah,
pops
that was an
open.
issue
Yeah,
too.
come on.
Yeah.
What I think is funny is that we have completely forgotten about Mission Impossible because the story is so irrelevant.
Well,
Shivali said this to me last night, which was like, "What are we going to talk about like for an hour for this movie?" And that's true, right?
Well,
like,
there's a problem. Like, I mean, again, I think we summed it up when we had everyone do 10 seconds of what the plot is.
yeah.
The plot of this movie is irrelevant.
But is the plot the most? And we've established that the plot is not the reason we go see these films. So if the reason we go see these films is to see shit blow up, should we go see this film?
I don't even think seeing these films, I don't think that's the point anymore. I don't think seeing shit blow up is the point anymore. I think it's seeing people we like doing cool stuff.
Yeah, seeing Tom Cruise do things.
well, and I think too, like
That's what they should name Mission Impossible 6. See Tom Cruise do things.
like 10 years ago, there weren't a lot of action movies out there. Like the really high end action films were not making any money. It was all about the gritty stories, like given the signs of the time, like given the war we were in, economic, turmoil we were all in, like that just wasn't playing to the market.
There was a
needed.
while where the big action movie was dead.
But the
yes.
90s, and when we were doing really, really well
It was
in the
Arnold.
world,
It was
yeah,
all Arnold
it
Schwarzenegger.
was all blow them up and shoot them up.
Come on, do it.
Yeah.
Get to the chopper. Do it now. Come on, kill me.
So my thing with this film, Mission Impossible, the one that we came to talk about.
Oh, the
was-
one that we're the only people talking about.
Yeah, was that I generally, anything talky I felt had no stakes, and I was kind of generally bored, which is a shame because I like Mission Impossible 3 for the exact opposite reason. But the action sequence in the middle, like there's a back-to-back action sequence where they go underwater and then they're on motorbikes. I thought that was pretty cool, and it was a weird experience because I was kind of generally bored through the first half and then perked up after that scene, and it was probably enough to carry me through the film, but I don't know if that's enough to recommend people go see it. It had me more. I had more attention than I did during Jurassic World or
really?
Terminator Genesis.
Really?
Yeah. But I don't.
I guess I care about those worlds more, and that's
Yeah.
why
I feel like I'm going to be a hypocrite
Genesis
if
is
I
terrible.
say that this you should go see this film for those two action scenes because I kind of said the opposite in those.
No, Shahir, no one would call you that.
except for
No one would call you that. In fact, if you just want to say it right now, you're more than welcome to. Ooh, there's tapping.
That's interesting too. It's like I hated Terminator Genesis. I really, really hated it
Yeah.
because of
Yeah.
the guy was terrible. What's his name?
Jai Courtney.
Yeah.
Now
he's
imagine if Tom Cruise had
terrible.
played that role.
Then I would watch it, and I'd probably like it a lot better.
Yeah.
But because he is so terrible, he could not carry that film whatsoever. But just because Tom Cruise is Tom Cruise, like I want to watch this. I don't give a shit about the plot.
Yeah. Shivali, you said something about Tom Cruise's aging.
Well, I think he looks great for his age. I mean, I hope you look like that, you know.
How's it look? Well, here's an interesting thing. We found out that Tom Cruise was my age when he did the first Mission Impossible.
Oh, wow. But he looked like 18 in that movie.
He did look at
Yeah.
it. He was
34.
34 or 30.
Yeah. And so,
Hey, I mean,
there's a funny, if anyone's listening to this right now, and why wouldn't you be?
no one's there.
Go to the IMDb page and you'll see that look up Tom Cruise, who is born in 1962, and then click on Christopher McQuarrie, who's the director of the film, who's born in 1968.
Right.
So he's younger and looks like 10 years older than
Well, look at Alec Baldwin.
Alec Baldwin is older than Tom Cruise, but yeah, they look. It's just a weird thing that he's like reverse. I think as a product, you know, like he is protecting his number one asset, which
Sure.
is that he is still physically capable of doing these kinds of films. He still looks great. I think there's an interesting thing in this movie, which is that he is starting to look a little older, and the film kind of like just a little bit touches on that. And I wish it had. I think this film would have been much more interesting to me if they decided that was what the film was about.
Yeah. Well, I also enjoyed a couple other sort of minor things, again, that were not Alec Baldwin. I liked that there wasn't a forced sort of romance between him and Ilsa. Like
Yeah.
there was maybe some sexual tension, but there wasn't like they hug at the end, and I liked that.
Yeah, yeah.
I didn't
Right.
want.
She did ask him to run away with him, though.
I think she said, did she say to run away or just like
Come
get
with
out
me.
of it?
Yeah.
Mm,
I don't know. I don't know if it was
implied.
romantic.
I
but
felt it was romantic.
It was romantic.
Oh, I didn't.
Yeah,
I didn't
yeah.
feel it was romantic.
Oh,
I don't
lady
know.
touch.
opinions.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it was a bit out of
Dudes
place,
never
I thought.
know when girls are hitting on
Yeah,
them.
see, that's
so
the thing, I have
even
no-
Tom Cruise couldn't. He's like, "What? We
No,
got to
no.
do this thing."
You and I couldn't tell.
Oh, maybe he knew.
Not
Yeah.
without his agent there.
Yeah. But I just enjoyed it. Like at the end, I was like, "Oh, they're gonna kiss," and like whatever. And I was just like, "Oh, they're cool."
I think
That's
what was
nice.
interesting about her character is, and if you think about the rest of the females that appear in Mission Impossible, is they do a big job of like somewhat sexualizing the females in the film, and they even do that in this film. But I feel on the other side of it, she seems way more capable than anyone in
She
the film.
seems like the best female character in these movies that I
Yeah.
can remember.
And I felt like that's a great thing about this movie too. It was very well cast in that she's pretty. I mean, we looked her up. She's hasn't really been in much other than a lot of Swedish stuff.
Yeah.
But she was. You could tell that she was cast mostly just for her action abilities
Yeah,
Yeah.
and she was good.
and her vulnerability. Like she did a really really good job of being vulnerable.
She did a great like quadruple agent. I feel
Yeah.
like because you didn't quite know where she's. That was the only plot point, actually. Now that we're talking about it, that remotely interested me. Like I was always like, "Oh, I really can't," and it wasn't
Yeah.
because of a bad script or a bad acting. Because I really can't tell if she's doing this to help Tom Cruise or if she's turned or if she's like for like the whole middle part of the film until I mean, there's obviously a point where you know,
Yeah.
but for a while I was like, "Oh, this is fun." Like,
yeah, and it's weird because a better film would have made that the central thing.
Yeah.
You know,
Sure.
like it's just it's funny because this film hangs so much on being a franchise, on being an action movie, on being Tom Cruise that all the plot stuff gets all a bit wishy-washy.
So instead, you get the villain that talks like this and the things and goes and it's going to get
How- see, what it just if there's a secret, you know, like these are cookie cutter films and they're all looking for the secret formula, and it seems to me that the secret formula is like
The Marvel logo.
No, Philip Seymour Hoffman. He's the secret He's the secret ingredient. You know, like he's the thing that makes it work. And it's like, you know, when you're casting your bad guy, look for a Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, but I also think in this film they knew that the bad guy wasn't important. Like
Right.
they knew that.
And maybe-
it's not like they were like, we're going to get this great bad guy, and then it fell flat. It was, oh, we don't care about this, and no one else will.
There's probably a correlation between like what they do that's successful versus the box office takes.
I'm sure.
You know, like
Science.
which one has got more, you know, which one makes more money than the others.
So we got we got about 10 minutes left on this beast. Shahir made a face. What was the face for, Shahir? He's looking at his computer intently.
It says here Mission Impossible 2 was the highest grossing.
That probably makes sense. Because
Adjusted
everyone was
for-
so hopped up on one, and then everyone loved John Woo those days.
So what I just said, the secret ingredient is Philip Seymour Hoffman, probably doesn't hold true.
Well,
Of the 4 that existed before this, Mission Impossible 3 is the lowest.
Monetarily, of course it doesn't. But look at what makes money. Paul Blart Mall Cop made a metric fuck ton of money, and you can't.
It's funny. The box office numbers are pretty much the exact opposite of how all of us ranked the films.
Yeah.
That's so weird.
Welcome to the discerning opinion. No, it's. I mean, yeah, of course. I mean, you play the lowest common denominator, you're going to get the most bang for your buck, or the most buck for your bang. Is
Mission
really
Impossible
how it would be.
2 is like the highest grossing. That's insane to me.
Doesn't he sound a little hurt?
Yeah, I do. I feel very wow. Adjusted for inflation, Mission Impossible 1 is the highest grossing. But unadjusted, Mission Impossible 2 made the most money. That's insane.
Well, I'm sorry.
I mean, you've got to think about the economy at the time. I mean, there's other factors that go into it. It's not just
Also-
about the film.
Also, Mission Impossible 2 probably had one of the best trailers.
I don't remember.
Also had the worst theme song.
No, it was the Link. It was
Limp Bizkit.
Limp Bizkit, but that was a cool trailer.
Yeah,
it was like-
but it was Limp Bizkit doing the Mission Impossible theme. Even back when I liked Limp Bizkit, when I was like 12 or whatever,
Yeah.
I was like, this is awful.
I'm flabbergasted right now because
Well, I'm
everything that I think is true about movies is not.
That's the whole point of this show. I've been trying
to
tell you that.
Yeah, and we've seen that true because I didn't like Jurassic World and it made a metric ton of money.
But you also didn't like Terminator Genesis, and that made no money.
Yeah, so maybe.
So I still have work to do, is what I'm saying. So bottom line, just sort of wrapping up, because this is supposed to be about Mission Impossible, but Shivali,
barely talked about it.
you made a good point. You're like, what are we going to talk about? Because it's so cookie cutter, and so it's the quintessential current action movie. Like, and you probably know what that means, and you've probably sort of seen it. So, I mean,
And you're gonna hate me as soon as I say this. It's kind of like the Marvel movies.
I mean, we only have 10 minutes here. I don't think that it is and it isn't.
Yeah.
And the way I'll just sort of say that is what I really respected about Ant-Man, which we didn't talk about, is it didn't try to keep building the stakes up, and it didn't try to like do what the Avengers are trying to do. Like even when Age of Ultron came out, it's not as good as the first one because it's starting to feel like, oh, this is ridiculous, and it's sort of like all sort of too big for itself and blah, blah, blah. Ant-Man was nice because it went back and sort of was like, this is a heist movie about this one superhero who's doing a thing. And yeah, they had their tie-in moments for the fanboys like me that really enjoy it, but you can enjoy it sort of on its own, and it feels small.
Yeah.
Even though it's called Ant-Man, whatever.
Yeah.
Intended.
So, but like, yes. But with this is not. This formula is still like getting bigger and bigger and bigger. And so I feel like Marvel's sort of realizing like, oh crap, we can't keep doing this because people will get shell shocked and just sort of like, ugh, whatever. So they're going to try to do different things. Like Doctor Strange, which is coming out, is going to be sort of like a horror movie, a psychedelic sort of weird, like darker, otherworldly film, which I hope it is, because if they do another origin nonsense bullshit movie, then that's when it's going to start failing. Regardless, I think Mission Impossible, overall, I do think if you're a fan of either Tom Cruise or just you want to see a really good example of an action film, you should go see it. I mean,
I think the first. Well, okay, for me, the first part of what you said is true.
okay.
I agree. I think you should go see it. I had a good time.
Yeah, I mean, I agree. If you like Tom Cruise, if you like the other Mission Impossible movies, go see it. It was a fun amusement park ride.
Yeah. I mean, that's what we're going for, right?
I would go see it if you like Tom Cruise.
Now, okay. Now, just to finish this up, we've all sort of said the same thing, whereas it's go see it if you like this and you like this.
But if you like good movies, maybe don't go see it.
Well, but it is a good movie.
Is it?
Yeah.
Is
Yes.
it?
Just because it's cookie cutter and we know it and we're familiar with the territory, this is something that we've argued with a bunch before. It is a good movie. It's not a bad movie.
For
and it's
those who
better
can't
than
see, I do this face twinge when I look at when Matt says something. And I just did it.
It's not a bad movie. It's better than average. So therefore, Shahir, what is it?
It's Wait, is it a movie?
It's a good G word. It's a good movie. You can say it. You're not going to lose any indie cred.
It's a gross. No, it's a.
He's not going to say it.
No, because look, it's not. Here's why. It's because of the second word that you said in there.
Average?
Movie. It's not a movie.
No, I'm pretty sure it's a movie.
No, I don't think it is. It's a
What is
series of scenes strung together that are there for the sole purpose of like exciting you. I don't think that's a movie.
It's an action movie.
It's
just got
just
an action movie.
No, but it's an amusement. I think Shivali said it best. It's an amusement park ride. If this was like on a roller coaster,
that's what a lot of movies are, and that's why most people go to see a movie.
I
mean, not everyone's.
I don't think it's a movie. I think it's a franchise. Before it's a movie, it's a franchise. It's a vehicle for an action movie for a star. It's like to me, a movie has to do with a story that I'm interested in, or a story that a story told well. That's a good movie to me, and I don't think this is that. That's it. I'm less offended by. Oh boy, here we go.
Movie. A story or event recorded by a camera as a set of moving images and shown in a theater or television. A motion picture.
I think it's a movie, Shahir.
It's a movie.
You guys are taking this very literally. I think the
Is it philosophically not a movie? Is that what you're saying?
I don't. I think it's a series of scenes.
That's showing in a.
No, I see
what
what
is your
you're saying.
definition?
It's a series of scenes, and
Right.
it's like you could watch them out of order. You could watch them individually. You could watch them on YouTube.
But we didn't. We watched them in order. But you could take any of your films that you think are a movie and watch them out of order too.
No, but I think this film in particular is just a series of set pieces. And they're not bad set pieces. Like I said, the
So
underwater.
judging by the definition on Webster.com and judging
you're
that you
pulling
said-
Debate 101 tactics right now, which is
Yes.
like Webster's dictionary defines a movie as.
because you're saying the thing that's making $140-something million in box offices worldwide isn't a movie.
But that's also the same for Mall Cop.
Yeah,
But Mall Cop's a movie. It's just a bad movie.
It's a terrible movie. But I agree what you're saying. Like, how
Wait, who do you agree with?
Cheer.
Why?
Because he's saying that how a story is told, he cares about the story and how it is told. And given the fact that Mission Impossible,
it doesn't care about the story.
It doesn't care about the story at all.
It doesn't have to.
But I agree with you that in order to make a movie like how that story, like I do agree with that. But even if you were to change around the scenes or whatever, it's still telling that story, but just in a very roundabout way. It doesn't really matter. But to me, that still makes a movie.
Okay, but we would we agree that like the first scene has no place in this movie. It's just a cool scene, right?
Sure.
Like they loosely tie it together like one line. They're like, it justified the existence of this $20 million on screen.
Sure.
But that's not how a movie should be made, is it? That's not.
Now we're getting into how movies should be made.
That's
My
not what
television making mind says always start with the strongest stuff. Like that's how I make a television show.
Right.
And so that's how I would do it. I call that the cold open.
Yeah, but it's a.
I mean, that was that movie's cold open.
It was a cold open, but it was unrelated to the film. It's
Doesn't
like
matter. It
but
grabs
cold
your
opens
attention.
can be unrelated to the thing that they're heading up. It's to introduce you to certain aspects of the film, let
And it
you
got
know
your
the
attention.
style of what to expect.
I mean, do we not know what to expect with Mission Impossible by the fifth time out?
No, but it might be getting stale, so we need something big to rope people back in. Anyway, we are running out of time. I don't think I'm going to convince Shahir that this thing we all saw in a movie theater is a movie.
Here's the thing is I liked this more than Jurassic World.
Is Jurassic World a movie?
I think Jurassic World probably tells more of a story.
You're
just
not answering the
very
question.
well. I just there's this so
Just tell me. I'm not even going to say anything. Just tell me if Jurassic World's a movie, and we'll wrap it up.
Is Jurassic World a movie? Sure.
Okay. All right. So you judge all that for yourself at home. Let's wrap this up. First of all, ladies, thank you so much for coming on and basically,
Well, any final thoughts?
Yeah.
Like listening to Matt and I argue about. Robin, you said your piece. I think.
Well, I just wanted to point out one more thing is that my favorite thing about the cold open, I will call it, is that Benji is in the field and he's on this tablet and it's all in Russian. He's trying to open the doors and everything's in Russian. He's just like, and then it cuts to the front of the plane and
the Russian guy.
Yeah, and the Russian guy. And then he looks at the button and it's all in English saying like back door.
There's a lot of ridiculous stuff in this movie like that.
That's an action movie to me.
Wait, so the just one thing, the underwater sequence, like, is that how people put in like passcodes into a computer?
Yeah, I wanted to know about that as well. Is data stored underwater? Is this like a thing? Is this something we don't know about?
Here's the thing. Data itself is not stored underwater, but there are supercomputers that are cooled in that way.
So that makes sense.
Right. So, but what would happen with a lot of those things is you'd have this big turbine in the center, but you wouldn't have the cards in the water. It would be on the opposite side of the walls where you could get to it dry. Do you know what I mean? Like
like how do they change the cards?
The back door of
yeah,
it.
what's the fun in that though? Come on.
Yeah, the walk in.
I actually liked that sequence because it had like, you know, like it was that. It reminded me of what was cool about the first in Mission Impossible 1, the famous sequence where he's breaking into the CIA office, where it's silent and there's like we can't make any sound, and then there's like a bead of sweat that and you can't touch the floor, and there's a bead of sweat that starts falling down.
No, it felt like the first one.
Yeah, that's you know, like stakes.
Yeah.
And because he's a little older now, he struggled with the holding his breath.
Yeah, I like that about it
sort
as
of
well.
consistent.
Yes, I agree.
Yeah. Apparently, he
Maybe
actually
it's a
did
movie.
hold his
Maybe
breath.
it's a movie.
Really?
Like, apparently, I don't know. I read something.
Of course.
Wow.
Yeah.
It makes. I'm reminded of a good quote Danny Trejo said, which is like Danny Trejo on doing his own stunts. He's like, I'm not going to be some jackass trying to prove my masculinity when a $50 million movie is at stake and other people's jobs rely on me living. And while I like that Tom Cruise does his own stunts, like I kind of am reminded of the Danny Trejo's counterpoint, which is that if I break my leg on this movie, everyone is out of work for a little bit.
Yeah, but they could.
Unless you're Jackie Chan and you just keep going.
Yeah.
But it is kind of a factor. You like now the case is Tom Cruise's stunts sell the movie, so that's fine. But if it wasn't the case and he broke his leg, the movie.
The difference with Danny Trejo and Tom Cruise is kind of what you're saying is that this movie wouldn't exist if Tom Cruise wasn't there, and therefore, and you can't get people into the theater unless Tom Cruise is doing something awesome. So you need that.
Yeah.
Whereas Danny Trejo's movies exist because Robert Rodriguez really likes him, and I really like him, and 3 other people really like him. So we go see it, and it's not even remotely on that budget. So I could see that, like, yeah, of course, Danny Trejo's like 60 something.
Yeah. He just made this interesting comment, which is like everyone talks about like I did my own stunts, I did my own stunts.
Why would you?
And he's like, well, get a stunt person to do it because, you know, people need to live.
Okay, so final thought, Shivali, Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. It doesn't even have to be go see it or not. Just what's your final word you want to say about this movie?
Classic Tom Cruise.
Classic Tom Cruise. Robin?
Very classic action film.
Okay. Shahir?
Yeah, go see it if you really want to.
Okay.
Yeah, sure.
And my final thing is Alec Baldwin's forgotten to play anyone else but Jack Donaghy.
Jack Donaghy.
That's all he knows how to play. That's it.
That's it.
Go see the movie. It's fun. It has Tom Cruise, and if you like fun or Tom Cruise, I think you should go see it. So anyway, this has been the only podcast about not movies, apparently.
We talked about almost every other movie. We talked so much around Mission Impossible.
It's just not a movie. That's what Shahir is saying. Anyway.
I feel like this is going to haunt me.
Oh, it will. Shahir, where can people find you outside of this movie, non-movie thing?
You can go to my website, www.shahirdaud.com, SHAHIRDAUD.com.
All right. And you can find me at MatthewKroll.com, at MatthewKroll.com, Skeletor, the number 4 PREZ on Instagram, and Emperor MSK on Twitter. Ladies, is there anything where you'd like people to find you, or if you'd like, do you want to plug something?
No.
Yeah, I'm pretty good staying anonymous.
All right, fair enough.
Pretty good.
I just want to give the option. You never know. You guys could have international syndicates.
Yeah.
Anyway, this has been
The only podcast about movies.
Mission Impossible Rogue Nation. Also, email us in at, what's our email?
onlymoviepodcast@gmail.com, or we have a Twitter handle at onlymoviepod.
That is right. And there's still this week is 2 movie tickets.
We're getting sad about these tickets.
You
They're sitting here.
You got to take them.
We have listeners.
Anyone who emails us, anyone, we can see you're listening. Not a lot of people, but more than one, which would be an email to get a movie ticket and talk about a movie. So get on it. What are you doing? Anyway.
We didn't get movie tickets, did we?
No, not at all.